welcome back. And our final segment for this morning is focusing on Reef Week 2015. Joining us for this conversation is Alyssa Carnegie, the Communications Director for Oceania Belize, and Roberto Pott, Belize Coordinator for Healthy Reefs for Healthy People. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Now, let's start off with Reef Week is one of the newer additions to the calendar in terms of celebrations here in the country. So let's just do a little bit of the history about celebrating the reef itself, and then we'll move into the whys. Yeah?
And maybe if I could take that one, because I was around for the startup about 3 years ago. What I understand was part of the idea was to really provide a full week of activities where there's no way you can't miss something about the reef. And it's really an opportunity for us to celebrate the wealth that we have. We really wanted to celebrate our heritage, and that's part of the theme, celebrating our heritage, protecting our future, belief in the reef. And so it's also an opportunity for a lot of the people involved in reef management, if I could encapsulate what they do as that kind of work, to come out and recognize the good work that we've been doing. Because a lot of times you're in the trenches, you're not able to say we're doing some good, but when our organizations go outside of Belize, Belize is celebrated in the international arena for the things that we've done. And so this is one of those opportunities for us to remind Belizeans that there's some things going right in Belize. And this is 1 week that we want to maybe step aside from, or step out of the trenches, step away from the fights that we've been putting up, and really looking at the richness and the wealth that we have. That's both the reef and the people in the coastal communities.
Yeah. I love what you said, because really, and you said in the trenches, and I just kept on thinking, yeah, in the water, that's where they've been. A lot of people are out there. Healthy Reefs is a great example, monitoring, making sure Oceania and several other agencies are ensuring that the regulations that are out there, the different precautions that we take to save this very important part of our national heritage. There are really just a lot of momentum going throughout the year. So how do you take all this work that is going on all year round and showcase it during this 1 week? How do you choose your highlights?
Wow, there's like a ton of different ways. I mean, have you seen our calendar? It's like a newspaper more than a calendar. We have so many great activities. So we are very organized about and pragmatic about how we go around organizing our Reef Week. And so we have a committee that really oversees and coordinates a lot of the activities that are happening. But for the most part, we try to be as inclusive as possible. I think there's, all the different activities, because there's so many different components to the reef and so much work that's being done, that it's not just in terms of, the science. There's lots of, there's the regulations as well. There's just so many different things to share. And so that's we're trying to be, all-encompassing or as best as possible.
And different organizations have their strengths. One of the things that I like to celebrate about TIDE is their way of engaging communities through sports. That's not a part of this week. They're doing a number of other activities this week to highlight the way they're able to engage their buffer communities. Belize Audubon Society, for example, has been very good in protected area management, as well as environmental education and outreach. Going birding might seem to some as a task. Getting up early in the morning, but it's an opportunity for even our young children to appreciate the outdoors. And I know it's a struggle even with my children to get them away from the electronics. But stepping away from the electronics, that's one thing I would like our children and our Belizean community to do, is step away. We know, for example, that BTIA is coordinating or hosting Discover Holchan, Discover Snorkeling. And hopefully there are people from Kikaka and San Pedro who haven't gone snorkeling before, doing this for the first time. I like to call the regatta that we had on Sunday as a soft launch for the Reef Week. for Reef Week because getting kids out sailing is taking advantage of a space that's hardly used for recreation, and some of it we've sort of given up as our communities develop, as our urban areas develop. We lose access to seafront, and so finding alternatives and finding ways to regain ground, because we really want to. I really want to applaud the Belize City Council was on earlier, because that BTL space is such a gift to, maybe I shouldn't say gift, but it's sort of a return on what the communities pay out in terms of their taxes, because we've seen a lot of other urban areas lose that seafront space. It's such high value real estate. And that's what we know within the conservation communities, that our marine resources, or coastal real estate is of such high value. Before people, you couldn't even give away keys. Like, no one wanted to go onto a key, and now we can hardly pay enough to acquire a key. And so recognizing the value is important for us.
Yeah. Now, in terms of the activities that have been that are scheduled for this week, and I want to touch on, Alyssa. We know that you all had your anniversary of the Say No campaign very recently as well, because people have really, over the past couple of years, learned to rally around the cause of maintaining our reef and protecting our reef. The offshore drilling campaign was one. Even though many people have not been to see the reef, we have tons of videos that people can watch, but that first-hand experience is still a bit lacking. Is that still a focus for all these organizations that work so closely, that we need to get as many Belizeans as possible out there to see with their own eyes what it's like under the waters?
You know, absolutely, Marlene, to answer your question, absolutely. And I think, too, beyond just getting them immersed, you know, literally and figuratively, it's also being able to show the connections and the value that the barrier reef system provides to Belizeans, not only by physically being in the water to enjoy it, but, you know, just generally as well. And I think that's the major thrust behind this effort, is to be able to show and celebrate, you know, all that we benefit and how we benefit and what it does for us. So that's absolutely correct. A lot of the activities reflect that, in terms of, you know, there's the English Channel Swim, which is, you know, taking place from Goss Key to English Key from HRI, and that's getting people in the water. There are going to be kids that are going to go out there. I know Mara Alliance is having a shark experience with kids. There's just a whole bunch of different activities. I know C is also doing underwater snorkel dive cleanup down south by Gladden Spit and the Silk Keys. So literally getting immersed is a big thing. There's lots of outreach activities where a lot of school visits, trying to get kids aware, getting them to appreciate and understand all that we have. So there's definitely that component. And then we do have the Reef Fair, where we're going to be in Belize City on Sunday, having a lot of people, you know, a lot of the partners and the organizations out there to provide that type of information. And there's a lot of fun experiences too. You know, the Reef Ride, we have the Sea Carnival on Sunday, in which all of those things culminate. But some really great things, and one of, I think, the major activities we're excited about too is the Science Symposium. Oceana is actually the organizer of that event. It's on Wednesday at the Bliss. We have a really great roster of speakers set to present. Lisa Karn from Fragments of Hope, Dr. Rachel Graham from Mara Alliance, Dr. Sani Chan, obviously from Oceana, Dr. Ed Bowles from Galen University. We have people from Ho-Chan Marine Reserve who will be presenting as well as people from UB and ERI. And so I think there's a lot of information. There's a lot of great activities where, if you're driven by, you know, that science, inquisitive type of perspective, we have something that'll satiate that appetite. You know, we have, you know, for kids who are really, you know, just learning but just want to be engaged, there's a bunch of, you know, activities that cater to them too. And then generally things that talk to the entire family.
And if I could add to that, we can never let up in terms of information. Getting that information out, there's a lot of good science that's out there. Even Healthy Reefs puts out these reports. We do the report card on the health of the reef, and then we look at how good we're doing as a country and as a region in our eco audit. And so these sort of tools might appeal to a certain audience, but we have to look at and sensitizing the national audience.
And I think, you both are answering a question that I wanted to get at, but we could push it further, because I think the opportunity to celebrate the reef is so important. We can say, yes, we have it, it's a great achievement, and we need to maintain it. But how do you keep the public aware of the real threats that also exist? Climate change, coral bleaching, the potential for offshore drilling, the potential for mega developments, even overuse of certain areas by tourists as well. So there are real threats that are also there. Do you try to focus more on the positive, or do you still keep sounding the alarm during this time as well?
To me, it's a dance. It's straddling that line between both of them, because that is our bread and butter. That's the daily work. That is what we do in terms of recognizing the benefits of the reef, the importance of preserving that and conserving that, as well as being able to show those threats, as you so rightly put it, in terms of could we lose this in our lifetime, and that's very much a possibility. That's very much a reality for many people in many areas, and I think that's one of the things that we strive to do. And so basically looking at putting those threats out there, putting what potential challenges, or the challenges, potential dangers, but at the same time looking at what we've done right, looking at the things that bring us together as a people and why this is so important. Because I think it's cyclical. People, for them to feel that this is worth saving, this is worth protecting, they have to understand what it means for us. And I think that's why the theme is so appropriate.
And I think as a community, there's been, it's a multi-pronged approach where like Oceania has taken on an advocacy and even challenged the government in courts. This particular week, we're focusing on sensitizing the national audience, because there are times when we kind of hone in on the priority issues. And I feel you pulling us into a discussion on some of those controversies. And I really want to step back. This is the one week we want to step back and highlight, because as a social scientist, one of the things that I recognize is the resilience and the strength within the Belizean people. When you look at 50 paddlers paddling down the Ruta Maya, you realize that that's not easy work. Conservation work, a lot of the work that we do in national development, it's not easy work. Even a reporter's job isn't easy, as I've come to appreciate. That's the strength that the Belizean people still have, and that's sort of the verses that are in our national anthem. And we sing it, and it's embedded in our psyche, but this is the time to come out and say, these people have to be recognized for the good work that they're doing.
So what are the definitely do not miss activities taking place in Reef Week? Because it is a very extensive calendar.
So it all depends on where you are. If you're in the north, look out for Mara Alliance. Blue Ventures will be doing a party for the kids up at Sartineja. So that will be a fun thing. And then if you're down south, look out for Tide. Get in touch with Tide. They're doing a cleanup. They're doing a couple trips. I think out of Placentia are doing a couple of trips where you can go out and get to see Laughing Bird Key. And so you contact the local conservation organizations. And BTIA in Key Caulker is also doing a number of activities. Of course, the ride again is
the Reef Ride. That's in Bomapan and in Belize.
And then the Channel Swim are two of the activities we would definitely want to promote.
So the swim is on Saturday.
The swim is on Saturday,
March 14th.
March 14th.
And then the ride is on Sunday the 15th.
Yes.
And the Sunday is a full day.
And they're really fit people that are going to try to do both?
There's, I imagine there's a couple people that come to mind, but yeah.
For the swim, because we had
triathletes.
Dimity Gallen, who was actually out of Australia working with the YMCA here, that really dusted off the crowd. She did the swim in 46 minutes, which is a record for us. The next person after that was Mr. Borland, who swam, I think, as part of the Coast Guard team. I don't think he works for Coast Guard, but he's he's a rider and probably has done some other athletic events, and he did that in 52 minutes. So he came 6 minutes behind the first person. She won't be swimming this year, so it's an opportunity.
Make her mark.
For the regular to do regular times.
We have a contingent coming out from the Coast Guard. I think we have 6 to 8 swimmers. We're also, Healthy Reefs for Healthy People has partnered with the Triathlon Association. And so Giovanni Alamia has been taking in registration, and so I think we have a group coming out of San Pedro and Belize and Placencia who will be swimming. So it will be an interesting swim. It's not intended to be a competition. It's really just to...
It's an awareness.
It's an awareness activity.
Getting people in the water.
But naturally when you have
a
sport event,
it becomes competitive.
Exactly.
And you have all ranges involved. I know Gio makes his son do it as well, and so people can come. There are all the safety mechanisms in place, so people can be...
The Coast Guard is providing support in terms of boat safety. Sea Scouts will be out providing spotting for swimmers, and then the Port Authority is also providing some support in terms of making sure we have a clear pathway as we swim across the channel, which is always intriguing for some.
And then the Reef Ride is on Sunday.
Sunday, yes.
And that starts in Belmopan.
In Belmopan, ends in Belize City. Again, it's not a race or competition. It's a ride. And we're really excited about that. After that, we have the Reef Fair, which is, like Roberta said, it's a jam-packed day on Sunday. It starts at 12 and goes till 6, I believe, the Reef Fair at the BTL Park.
It's going to be at the BTL Park?
And we have a lot of different great, organizations showcasing great work, great opportunities, great information as always.
And they should tune in to Open Your Eyes on Friday, because the Fisheries Department will be here doing the Grace...
the lionfish
meal. So that's something you shouldn't miss.
I think that's great. And they're also doing the lionfish...
competition.
The competition. So that's...
On the catching or cooking?
Catching.
Oh, okay.
Catching.
I thought it was a lionfish cook-off, all right.
No, that I could participate in, yes, but no. And then the Sea Carnival, we have to acknowledge the Sea Carnival, which is growing in numbers and I think an attraction to every year. It culminates, but it's a big sea party. It happens at dusk, and a lot of the floats or a lot of the boats are lit, and so it's a really nice experience for...
It's a boat parade.
Yep, a boat parade. So it's good for the family to tune in or to look out and just be able to enjoy that.
All right.
Yeah, and we're really sorry we haven't mentioned all the organization. APAMO is doing a poetry competition. ERA is doing, I think, a photo competition through Facebook. There are a number of activities online.
There's several stuff online that we're seeing.
So if you can't get out to swim or ride, you could
participate virtually.
And many of them are looking at getting people involved, from the art competitions to the Discover snorkeling to a recycling exhibit. It really is happening. What we'll do is we'll post the Reef Week calendar on our Facebook page so people can be aware of all the activities that are coming up.
We also have a Reef Week page on Facebook, so go ahead and like that. We have all the different details on all the activities available there, as well as the calendar. So, please go ahead and, we'll share that with you so people can find out more.
Okay, well, great. We want to thank you all for joining us. Anything else that you'd like people to know about Reef Week 2015?
Well, I think it was important for us to, again, restate the theme, and it really captures what we are trying to communicate, because this is a part of our heritage, and if you haven't recognized it yet, the resource is important for our future, and we have a lot of people coming out of universities, and it's important for them to not only be informed, but look at the job opportunities that are available. I mean, the tourism industry employs over 25% of our working population, and then we have the fishing industry that employs 3,000 people, and those 3,000 people, the studies have shown that 90% of those haven't even completed high school. So this is an opportunity. Our marine resources is really important for people and our future.
All right. And for me, I think again, the theme is really important because it's not just paying lip service, it's real. It's celebrating our heritage, what brings us together, protecting our future, and belief in the reef, the idea that the reef is, not the idea, but fact that the reef is there and it's so essential to us, not only in terms of identity and culture, but also in terms of economics. I mean, one of the big drivers for us is that over 53% of visitors who come here state that the reason they come here is because of our marine protected areas. It's great that they have that opportunity to engage and visit and learn, and they're so driven by that experience. It's also important that Belizeans recognize the value of that experience and the value of the resource, and so we're really excited, and that this year is going to be bigger. It just keeps getting bigger and better
every year.
Every year. So
management challenge.
Yeah, no, well, we're happy to, a challenge we're happy to accept, and we just want to encourage everybody to come out, participate. There's something happening in your neck of the woods for sure, and you know, if you have any ideas or have any you know, suggestions, we're also really happy to hear from those persons, and we're excited to see Belizeans turn out to support.
All right, great. And as you mentioned, if you want the full calendar, you can find them on Facebook and be able to figure out where the nearest activity is to you. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you, Marlene.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take that final break, and when we come back, we'll have the wrap-up, so stay tuned.